Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Town of Goshen Town Board meeting, July 13, 2023. Can I ask everybody to stand up for your pledge of allegiance?
To the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everybody.
So Harry's back.
All right, first item on the agenda is...
Have a motion to open the meeting?
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
First item on the agenda is to discuss and approve the resolution authorizing the sale of certain lands owned by the Town of Goshen to Legoland New York LLC. These are, well, rather than me articulating, I'll turn it over to you, John, because you have the whole thing on and lay it all out for us.
Good evening, John O'Rourke with Lincoln Tully Engineering. Good to see you all here.
It's been a little while, John, but
Yes.
welcome back.
Thank you. So, last time it was same issue. So, Legoland, New York, if you remember back then, the town owned 8 parcels throughout this. Some were associated with your wells, some were associated with the park, and some were random that you took for taxes. At that time, we looked for purchase and the coordination of the swap. So we gave you land around your wells to meet the Department of Health regulations. Then that all kind of fell through, and at the end, you gave us 2 grading easements across these 2 parcels. So what we're asking for now is that we, basically the town sell us 3 parcels. These 2 in the park itself, those were in the areas that was previously studied. And this little piece over here, which is a standalone piece, which makes it easier to access this piece. We're not proposing to do anything, but that's a clean piece. The other pieces, we initially were gonna ask for as well, but they require subdivisions and lot line changes because of your existing wells in that area. So we didn't, Legoland didn't wanna go through that, and they're basically looking for these 2 pieces are their main goals.
Yeah, like
Also have
63, 68, and 69.
Yes, and they're proposing the same amount of money payment in lieu as the 8 pieces. So even though we took off 5 parcels, we didn't change any of that.
60,000.
Yes, yep, same cost. So 60,000 for 3 rather than 60,000 for the 5 or the 8.
I see. And all parcels are landlocked?
All parcels are landlocked.
Yeah.
Yeah, and basically I highlighted them here. These are the 2 parcels that we're looking forward to. Basically, you remember, we just graded across those. It was kind of temporarily to get access. And that is within the envelope of the entire review project. But it's outside the park itself. So any future development, which I'm not privy to at the moment, would again go in front of the planning board and go through the whole process again. But we're just looking for those 2 parcels.
And those 2 parcels, they don't have anything, any wells or any sites or anything like that?
No, it's just the side of the hill.
It's 2 or
It's actually
3?
our land inside of their parcel.
No, you
You
know,
keep saying 2.
2 main parcels.
And then a little one
So
parcel
it's
there.
3
3 parcels.
68, 69, and 63.
right.
Yeah, would that be Fund B?
Did you get that?
I don't know.
That was
Townwide Fund A, wasn't it?
The biggest.
Townwide's Fund A.
Yeah,
This is in the town.
yeah.
Yeah, it's Fund B, correct.
Fund B.
Just us.
You know, the one thing, as I read through this, and made some notes, the one thing I can't understand is, how do those little parcels, I know they were part of the Arcadia subdivision
Yes.
originally, I know, I read back and they did all the history of these things, but how the hell do you get a parcel with .60 space? I mean, how do you get a
Somebody had to
subdivided?
work at it.
Even though you take it as a tax, how does that exist?
I think the Legoland's overall parcel is made up of multiple different plots that were owned by different people.
Correct.
No,
but-
no, no,
But
no,
he's
that's
saying,
not my
how do
question.
you get a little tiny piece of property like
Oh,
that?
right.
How, yeah, I mean, how does that come into existence? A piece that's 0.805.
A lot of times they would create those, like when you first had, you have some wells out here.
I understand the wells.
But when they first were created, the regulations were different. So you didn't need 200 acre, or 200 feet
feet.
around it, you just needed a well.
Right.
So when Arcadia Hills was developed, there was a well, little square piece around that well, and then that was it.
But these
Right.
guys don't have any wells.
No, some of
Some
them
of them
don't.
Some of them do.
That's what we got.
Some do.
Oh, the two we're looking for, no.
They do
No,
not.
no,
I don't
they-
know how they got.
They were created because there was a whole layout here of homes and roads.
Right.
And these were kind of, I'm gonna call them throwaway parcels. Because they're on the side of the hill, they weren't in a road, nobody needed it. And they create those for little pockets. So in the future, the thought was back then, going way back then, this could be a small park. This could just be a place where kids could hang out. This could be potential drainage areas. But the developer basically didn't want them, didn't need them, and he said, okay, these are separate parcels.
So it would have to go, it would have to be subdivided at the town and subdivided, but none of them are legal lots. They're just subdivided tiny
The
little
parcels, they're
pieces
SPLs.
of, tiny little pieces of land. With the ones with the wells, I understand, the ones with a purpose. But to just have all those tiny pieces hanging out, it just boggles my mind. I mean, I was on the planning board 40 years ago in this town. I don't remember that stuff. It was after Arcadia, but, so, anyway, it was just a question, I'm not,
Yeah,
had
no,
nothing
I-
to do with the sale or anything, I'm just like, what
Yeah, it
is
is,
going
it
on?
is unusual, and some of them just went for taxes, to be honest with you. These parcels.
I understand how we acquired them, but
How
what
did they
did we
create it?
acquire? Yeah,
Yeah.
we acquired .08 of an
Yeah.
acre. Anyway,
I make a motion
Yeah.
that the town of Goshen.
George, you have anything?
No.
Yeah, Doug.
I
Yeah.
make a motion that the town of Goshen sell those parcels, 3 parcels in question to Legoland
In a
for
second?
$60,000.
Well, is it a roll call?
Can I have a
Mhm.
motion to approve the resolution as prepared by?
As presented it.
But I have to read it, into,
The whereas, yeah, because
Correct.
secret is in,
I wanted to make sure that we were gonna approve it before I
so
read
Kelly
it.
wants us to read the whereas, we're
oh,
from,
okay.
into the record.
So,
And this is.
I'm sorry, so Doug made a motion,
Legoland is
second.
requesting
I
this.
haven't done it.
Correct.
They are, right.
And we
And
have
it
two
is wrong.
appraisals. We have two appraisals, one ours and one in Legoland.
And the highest appraisal we got was 33, and they're doubling it, just
So
about.
the sale, they're willing to sell us are we?
No, we have one appraisal for 54 and one for 60. There were two set appraisals. Go through.
Well, one
That's
appraisal,
right.
the one appraisal in here is for 15,000.
We have one appraisal, I saw one appraisal for 15 and one for 33, and then. they
Yeah, the
decided-
original one, I think late, back then, back in 2017, I believe Lego had one appraisal done.
Yeah.
The town had a second one done. And I believe Lego said, okay, you know, we don't want to argue the
The
point.
resolution says 60,000.
Yeah,
Yeah.
correct.
And that's for the 3
Phil,
parcels.
what do you
there.
say?
You know, with the, if you go to the appraisal portion, I had them earmarked. If I could find it. Here's one.
Well, the only thing-
Okay, so you have, when applied, reconciliation final value calculation. When applied to 15.7, excluding the wells, 11.62, 15.67, it's 54,845. Probable selling price, 54,008. And that's the one appraisal. The second appraisal was 60,610. Probable selling price is 60,700.
For all
If you go-
parcels.
Yeah, for all
Right.
parcels. If you go into the appraisal portion of this. So, I mean-
All right, so we're right on, we're on.
Yeah, we're okay. But what I'm saying is I'm not sure where the 30 or whatever came from, because that's all, this is what I read in our
I think it's for
appraisals.
one of the parcels, but I don't know.
I'm sorry, what?
I think it might have been for one of the parcels, not.
Well,
Well, if
irrespective
it
of
was, then the
those,
appraisal for all of them should have been $90,000 or $100,000.
irrespective of those, Phil, it says,
Yeah.
if you go down there.
Just want to make sure our resolution's proper.
Oh, okay. Well, the town board
That's all I'm
hereby
saying.
Yeah, no,
authorizes blah, blah, blah,
So
for
if you,
$60,000. Okay.
you may want to look on this thing and see how you feel, Rory. On page,
So Kelly has gone through this all and prepared the resolution, so she was comfortable with it all.
But those appraisals are for like 8 lots, aren't they?
Correct.
the whole thing, that's what we were selling.
That's what we were originally selling.
Right.
Say, but now this is only for 3 parcels, 3
Right.
out, 3 out of the 8.
Yeah, so you keep it
I
like that.
understand, so we can look at these and add these up, I'm not sure if coincide with what we have in the resolution. I don't know. All I'm saying is, when I came in to town hall tonight, we were selling all the
All of them,
parcels
correct, yeah.
for that much. He is saying he's gonna give us the same price for only 3
Yeah,
parcels.
that, and.
So even the resolution doesn't say, right?
No, I believe the resolution.
The resolution does say.
Has
It was
3
changed.
parcels, yes.
Yeah, that's three parcels.
Unfortunately, this came late.
3
last night.
parcels, $60,000.
Okay, that's what it said.
Yeah, and the ones, if you can look at them there, the lots are 63,
What do you need?
68, 69.
Yeah.
Do you need the resolution, Phil?
No.
The current one?
No, he, listen.
No, he has it.
So,
We have
so
it, yeah.
when we discussed this during the week and
Yeah.
perfect this package, we
Yeah.
were talking about all of these.
Right.
Late last night, I got a call from Dominic Codisco, who said that we're only gonna go for 3 parcels, that's all we really need
Okay.
right now. Because you got wells and you got other apparatus on these properties that we don't want to, you know, take from the town at this point. So
Yeah.
these are the ones we need in order to get what we need to get done. Kelly went and changed the resolution while she was on
Okay.
vacation,
Okay.
sent it off. I neglected to say something to everybody tonight that I had that conversation.
Yeah. that's-
So the resolution does reflect 3 lots.
Okay, and it reflects the proper selling price.
Correct.
Yep. I see it now. This is the first time I've
Yeah.
seen this resolution, so
Understood.
I went through this whole booklet here.
I apologize,
No,
I should
no,
have
it's
got to
okay.
everybody when Dominic called me late last night.
Yeah, it's not a problem.
So you've been up to see Stephanie, right? You've been, had some negotiations, and I guess there's other stuff that's being negotiated and so on and so forth. The only thing I have to say is, okay, Legolands wants these 3 parcels. There's things, or at least one thing, we want. Is this the time to request that as well, or are we gonna do that later?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not sure what it is that,
Hotel tax.
well, that I'm working
So, you know,
on.
That's what's on my mind.
Yeah, we're working on that now, and that's a little bit of a sticky situation right now, but we are working on it. They're open to doing something. But it's not gonna be relative to this because
It has nothing to do with
the
it.
downside of what they're gonna give up is not
No.
$60,000.
No, I know it isn't,
Yeah.
but I'm just saying, in the discussions back and forth, sometimes this is an appropriate time to negotiate that, but no, I'm not saying hold it up
Yeah.
until that's
No,
resolved. I'm
they're,
not saying that at
they're,
all.
I can say that they're well aware of the need to take action on that and eliminate that, and we are working towards getting that solution done.
Okay. So Doug made the motion, I think, right?
Yeah. Mary,
Right, it's gotta read the
But you think you have to read the
I gotta read
whereas.
it into.
Okay.
And it is roll call.
And it's
Yes.
roll call, yeah. Now therefore, be it resolved that the town of Goshen board hereby determines that all of the portions of the following parcels of land now owned by the town of Goshen as shown on attached map are no longer required for use by the town. Tax map, section 11, block 1, lot 63, 68, and 69. Be it further resolved that the town of Goshen hereby reaffirms its September 11, 2017 secret finding statement with regard to the sale of the aforementioned property. Be it further resolved that the town board hereby authorizes the sale to transfer and convey by the town and further authorize the town supervisor to execute the necessary documents to accomplish the same in one or more transactions as deemed legally necessary or appropriated by the attorney for the town. All of the town's rights, title, and interest, and subject to interest in the subjected parcels. Subject to any legal existing easements and other easements shown on said map to Legolands New York LLC for the purchase price of $60,000 and upon such other terms and conditions as acceptable to the attorney for the town as to form and consistent with the resolution and the above referenced seeker finding statement. Be it resolved that this resolution is subject to permissive referendum as part provided in section 64.2 of the town law of the state of New York and shall not take effective until 30 days after the date of its adoption, nor until approved by an affirmative vote of a majority of the qualified electors of the town voting on such proposition. If within 30 days after the adoption of this resolution, there is to be filed with the town clerk of the town a petition signed and acknowledged and proved or authenticated by electors of the town qualified to vote upon a proposition to raise and expend money in a number equal to at least 5% of the total vote cast for governor in the town at the last general election held for the election of the state office. but which shall not be less than 100 in the town of the first class, nor less than 25 in the town of the second class, protesting against this resolution and requesting that it be submitted to the qualified elector of the town for approval or disapproval. That was a lot.
Sorry, Joe.
All right, so I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second? Well, it's a roll call.
Remember, Kelly made you read
No,
that.
we
Not
didn't
me,
second
all
the
right?
motion. We didn't second the motion.
George is second.
George.
Second, okay, roll call. Bill?
Aye.
George?
Aye.
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 Doug? And one absent, Gloria. All right.
Well, there you go.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Pleasure to see you all again.
That was a mouthful.
Thanks for the information.
All right, enjoy the night.
Yeah, you
Thanks,
too.
Sean. Take care. From now on, when we have something like that, we just gotta have it pre-recorded and just turn it over.
Well, why can't we?
I read the first couple of them when you started.
For Adam.
You know, in the past, we just said, would somebody make a motion as outlined in the resolution?
I can't speak to it, that
That's
was,
what we did.
I think she just wanted to make sure everything was
Sorry.
identified in here, because there's a secret resolution in 2017 that talked about
No,
this.
what I'm saying is you,
reading it into the record.
rather than reading a record, you say, well, I, you know.
No, it had something to do with secret. Kelly
It-
pointed those two
It's the secret
paragraphs
action
out.
incorporated into the resolution. So we have to have it done.
And I'm sorry, I made the motion to approve the resolution authorizing the sale of certain lands owned by the town of Goshen to Legoland New York LLC as prepared.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay?
Yes.
That's
Right.
perfect.
Yeah, here, it's at the top of the.
Yeah, that's all.
That works.
I just wanted to.
Okay, try this again. Good evening.
So long.
See you, John.
That was easy.
Yeah.
Item number 2, discuss and approve the resolution establishing a drainage district in the proposed lands of Pursuant subdivision. We've had this in front of us, what, 2 meetings?
Yeah.
It was approved,
This is
this
the
is the
actual
resolution.
resolution.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Rory, you wanna take us through it? please?
Yeah, I mean, the resolution kind of speaks for itself. There was some back and forth with attorney for Pursuance, who had made some suggestions. It's been reviewed, comfortable with it. I recommend that the board move forward on the resolution as prepared.
Any comments from-
I believe this was, I believe this was in your packet earlier in the week, so I don't know if anybody has any particular questions, but as noted, it was, there was a lot of time put into it. It's the first one we're doing. So it's kind of the
Now,
model.
this is where we're going to tax the people in that.
Correct, we're gonna create a
Yeah.
district.
So I guess the only question I have, let's say that something happens with the flooding we've had, right, we gotta go out there and spend a lot of money. And we're gonna have to use town money until we can tax
Assess them,
time.
correct.
Yeah, I think that was kind of the not debate, but discussion that was going
Well, we
on,
did-
how do you assess the first round, you know?
Yeah, we did talk about that, and having the developer put the first round up, correct?
Yeah, they make it, you know, they suggest an amount that they believe.
How you doing, Rick? You look tired.
Tired.
I chimed in and thought we would set up escrow accounts on these things usually.
Well, and I don't really have any particular thought on that, other than the discussion was, that in their petition and the materials submitted, they kind of give a guesstimate of our first round, and I think over time, we'll get a better understanding. We're heading into another one with Maplewood, and then probably
Yeah.
have another one down the road with.
And they were gonna
Well, we
set up
got-
an escrow account on that though.
Yeah, they
So that we could tax
mentioned they would,
later.
yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, if we discuss Maplewood tonight, that may come up.
On this particular one, we talked about, the developer putting together a package and then getting approved, with insight from Sean and Broderick on it.
Correct. It's almost like a decommit, you know, like the same thing. Sean's gonna
Right.
make his recommendation based on the assessment of how many ponds there are and the access points and whatever, so. Anyway, I think, did that
No.
answer your question, Doug? I was talking to you, but I was
Yeah,
really
no,
answering Doug, so.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, as long as it's known on the table here, this is about potential,
Can
you
you
know.
guys give me 1 minute just to get Ricky's package? That's
Sure. If you want, here, just have a take this.
happened.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You know, my concern the last time we talked about it was to make sure we weren't spending town money to fix the special district, that there was an escrow set up initially, and I think that's in part of the,
Yeah, so the
that
only,
the builder or developer has to set up that escrow account, and we work off of that, and then at the end of the year,
right,
we replenish the escrow account with taxes.
I guess the only way we would initially spend taxpayer dollars is if we had a major disaster that
Right.
exceeded what
Well,
we
yeah.
had in the budget,
Yeah,
then
year
we'd have
one.
to assess the next tax period.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
right.
Correct?
Yeah, I mean, it would be,
Yeah.
presumably, it would only, the earlier on it happened, the more likely that we'd
Right.
have to dip into something, because there'd be a buildup,
A buildup, correct.
you know?
Well, I mean, I just brought it up because it was happening in Highland Falls
Sure.
and all those other kind
Yeah.
of places. Things do happen, and whoa, and
Yeah.
we could spend a lot of money, but.
Rick's seen it firsthand.
Yeah, you spend that money,
Mhm.
you're in that money.
The whole place is a drain.
Okay.
That's a big downhill there.
Anything else, anybody? George?
No.
Well, I mean, just to add a little bit more to, so I have in mind what Phil was just saying is, an escrow account developed, the developer has that, and as this transition, right, was it 22 homes? Or, you know,
And the
I think
pursuit.
it-
Yeah,
I think it was.
something along, I think it was somewhere along that. But, you know, the build out of that, so now the first person gets in there, right? And so there's still a transition that's going on before it's actually dedicated to the town.
Yeah.
All along, that's escrow money.
The
That's being
developer's,
used.
the developer's paying that
Yeah.
initially.
And
Exactly.
then
Yeah, that's-
when it's all built out, and all of the people are there, then it flips over and it's assessed to the home.
Yeah, well, as it cascades down, the escrow that he has to build up is less, because we would be able to tax
Right, but
those
but-
people, assuming they don't all get in one
No,
tax
and
year.
and that escrow money will be spent to maintain that drainage district. So, I mean, we're not
Right.
just putting escrow money in the fund, we're using that to go along, and then at the end of the year, you reconcile if you're short.
Correct. It goes up or
you
down.
tax, yeah, up or down, or you, how much you have to tax that special
Yeah.
district.
What,
So, okay, I just wanna make sure.
so what measures do we need to have to make sure we have, in order for this to be, to make sure the residents understand that they're paying their part of this tax? Is there something in their?
Look at it like the same way
I
when we
think it's
just,
gonna be on their deed.
yeah, well, the same way as the one homeowner in the previous iterations that
Right.
has the pond
Right.
Yeah.
and finds out like, oh, like,
Yeah,
I'm
no, I got you.
responsible for maintaining
But-
it.
but-
So
but what I'm
it's in
saying
their
is-
deed, ideally the
Should
real
be
estate
a deed.
attorney and realtor will explain it to them,
Yeah.
but it doesn't fall upon us.
No,
It's-
I
it's
got
a-
you.
But you know, Albert Feeney, this is a good example, he built all those houses and people, it may have been in the deed, but they didn't pick up on it, it wasn't explained to them, and when they found out, they were really upset about it. So I think it needs to be part of the protocol that this agreement here is attached to it or something, somebody tells them.
I think we would be taking on responsibility that isn't ours. I
We're the
don't
ones
think,
that are gonna catch the diggings when.
we're not the ones selling them the property.
But what is incorporated in the deed? So as they subdivide these parcels out and they create an SBL for it, there's gotta be a deed for it. Somewhere in that deed has to spell out the fact that there's a drainage district here, and that that individual homeowner is going to be assessed his pro rata cost of that drainage district.
Look, I can't, that is not an area of law that I specialize in. I would imagine it's the same as if you walked into a place with an HOA. You know, you're,
Yeah.
but I can't speak to that, how
So,
they're gonna do it.
Okay, so then what we need to do is make sure the planning board is aware of it, Kelly's aware of it, that we understand that each resident is gonna be aware of it.
That's fine, I mean, as a service to them,
Yeah.
obligation versus service, two different things.
Correct.
I just wanna make sure we're clear
I'm
on.
just answering Doug's question of making sure that the town is not gonna be responsible.
We're answering it both,
Yeah.
you're answering it as a supervisor, I'm answering it from our legal
Yeah, I got you.
obligations, so I
Well,
think.
what I'm sharing with you, we had a subdivision out on Houston Road where the person didn't realize what they were responsible for because they didn't read the fine print. nor their-
Understood, and that's why I
Yeah.
think Joseph,
We have one
what
right now,
Supervisor's
same thing.
saying is correct,
Rolling Ridge is
but
the
it
same
doesn't
thing right
conflict
now.
with what I'm saying, which is we don't have an obligation, but I think we do as there are citizens in our town, we should tell them, but I don't think, we don't have a liability if it's not, we're not the ones selling the property.
All I'm saying is when the builder goes to Florida and he gets out of his LLC and he's out of the picture and we're in the picture, we have to break the news to these people.
I think that's what
supervisor's saying the planning board is going to advise the planning board so they
Sure.
know to make sure that, but we don't have,
So
that's all I'm saying. I'm purely looking at it from our,
who does the assessment on these properties? Our assessor, or is that done by
Yeah,
real
our
properties?
assessor.
So then we just have to make sure that our assessor knows that there's a district here, and that there's
They
going
will.
to be a cost associated with it
Yeah.
on the tax bill.
It'll be a separate line
So-
on your tax bill.
So we are in control of that.
Oh, yeah.
we're in control of setting the number.
Correct.
But we're not in control of them being knowledgeable about that.
No, but it's gonna
They're
be
gonna
their
find
tax
out
bill.
when they get the bill,
Correct.
they come in yelling and
Correct.
screaming, but that's really, I know what you're saying.
I'm not-
I
I'm
recognize.
somewhat
it
not
happened.
concerned about them finding out that they're part of a drainage district and they didn't know about it. I'm more concerned about the town being responsible to fix the things because
Right.
the district was never formed on their tax bill.
Right.
I didn't see what you were saying.
Yeah.
I was. still
I understand where he's
Yeah.
coming from,
Yeah.
and, you know, I somewhat feel the same thing, that, you know, we wanna make sure the residents moving into our town don't move in with, you know, a bad taste in their mouth when they close on their house, but I'm more concerned in making sure the district is formed, it's on their bill, their tax bill, and we're getting, you know, the money's going into the,
That's
escrow.
Will that appear as a separate line, district line on your tax bill?
Yeah, because it's separate money altogether, you
Yeah.
can't intermix it.
Yeah, yeah.
All right,
So whose responsibility is it to get, so that it's in the homeowner's deed, that there is a drainage district in their subdivision?
I'm gonna answer that with not a, I would imagine that has to do with how the planning board approves, the project going through. But I can't, I don't know the answer, I'm not the planning board attorney, but it's not that's what I'm surmising, and I think that's what supervisor
so,
was.
Mayor, we just make sure that we put a notation to let Kelly, make Kelly aware of these questions.
Yeah.
Yes, and we can ask Alan
Yeah,
and he'll.
but ask, yeah, the assessor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that would be my suspicion on it, George, is that it would be the planning board's, a part of their approval in the subdivision.
Anything else, George?
Any other covenant?
Rick, anything?
No.
Doug? All right, so can I have a motion
To
to,
approve the resolution and order of the town board of the town of Goshen establishing a drainage district in the proposed land of Pursuit subdivision.
well said.
So moved.
Second.
I'll make the motion.
Second,
George and Doug.
all in favor?
No, it's roll call.
Roll call?
Yeah, hold on just 1 second. Just want to see if it addresses it in this here thing.
Which thing are you looking for?
Setting up the escrow account
Oh, so-
and the,
oh.
and, okay, let's just do it. Roll call. I just didn't know if there was something in
It's not in here, no.
in the language, no, I didn't see it.
Phil?
Okay, yes, aye.
George?
Aye.
Aye. Rick? Aye. Doug?
Aye.
All right. Next item on the agenda is to discuss and accept the Rolling Ridge easements excluding the road deed and authorize the supervisor to sign all documents pending attorney Norton's review. The two easements, Mary, one the conservation
Conservation
easement
easement and the drainage
and the
easement.
drainage district. The drainage district
Drainage
easements.
easements.
So we need two different.
No,
Not
it's
sure.
one,
All
No,
one.
just, all you're doing is really authorizing Joe,
To-
once Kelly reviews it, to
to
sign the
sign
document.
the documents.
So
It's
that we
one,
can file it with the county.
But the other one is a drainage. what?
drainage easement.
Drainage
Drainage
easement.
easements.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's one, is it two resolutions? I'm sorry. It's two resolutions.
I would think.
It is two resolutions. So
I would think it would be two different
Two,
resolutions.
two separate
No,
motions?
it's just one motion. It's really to authorize you, Joe, to sign the documents
Once Kelly
reviews.
reviews
Okay.
it, so it's.
They all have to do with Rolling Ridge and all have to do with easements. Sorry.
Okay, it's all documents pending Norton,
Right.
attorney Norton's review. So can I get a motion to accept the Rolling Ridge easements?
Motion to authorize
Authorize,
the supervisor
go ahead. You sound much better than I did.
Just read
to
the
sign all
resolution.
documents upon attorney's review.
Got that motion?
Attorney Norton.
I
So
didn't
moved.
want to go off.
Dirk first. Second,
Second.
This will be.
Bill, all in favor?
Aye, but do you need a roll call on that resolution?
Yes.
You know, I do have a question on
We
this.
need a roll.
Need a roll
let's
call.
finish
Well,
that.
let's, oh, I understand, well, let.
Before we do the roll call?
Yes, I
Okay.
have a question.
Good.
Okay. It says that if I read all this, I have to go back, that the builder today, he's got an LLC. And again, he leaves town and all this, and we're sitting here with this property, this easement, and it says that if, we're not liable for any, if somebody gets hurt on it or some of these other kinds of things. Okay? And that the grantee is the one that's responsible. Well, the grantee is no longer in business. So how does that work?
It's actually the homeowner owns this property now, not Rolling Ridge. So
So-
the easements is with the property owner, not with Avi. Like,
So he got all of the property owners to sign. What should have happened
Well,
prior
I mean,
to,
if that's the way it is.
what
you
should
know.
have happened prior to the building permit being issued, this easement should have been in place. It wasn't.
Right.
It was an error.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I'm with you then.
It's an error that we won't have ever again.
Okay, that makes sense. All right.
Yeah.
Roll call, vote then again.
Bill?
Yeah.
Aye.
George?
Aye.
Aye. Rick?
Aye.
Aye.
I missed who made the motion, I'm sorry. I know Bill seconded.
Rick made the motion.
Maybe a little louder.
Trying to get involved. He's into it, but
It's in the process.
A little louder, a little louder.
You know, man, our insurance covers hearing aids. She's a,
Yeah. Everybody else heard me.
I heard what I was heard, man.
I wasn't gonna say
You
anything.
know what?
I
Make your
don't
own
know.
Well, even if you
motion.
did, she wouldn't have heard it.
Item number 4, discuss introductory law number 6 of 2023 to increase the height in the commercial industrial district.
What is the height today in
It's, it varies.
Yeah, 40 feet?
It's
35
it's
35
30,
townwide.
45.
Right.
The chart, actually reflects 45 everywhere. I'm 45 in the I, 45 in the HC, and then
35 in the C.
35 in the C.
Right.
And then 35 as the cap townwide, unless
Right.
otherwise
the,
noted.
so this is 65 everywhere?
65
Across the
in
board,
the
which is-
commercial, industrial, and the
Right.
HC, yeah. But not, it doesn't change the general definition,
I understand.
or agriculture.
I guess my only concern is if you're up against a subdivision or something with a commercial, and all of a sudden you got a 65-foot building versus 35, it's currently maybe the standard for that. That's gonna be a significant change, I
Yeah.
think.
But there are things that the planning board takes into consideration, like
Setbacks. and-
setbacks and building
Right.
coverage and stuff like that. I think what we did here is we tried to look, because everything keeps coming to the zoning board.
I'll
Yeah.
hop in here, I would say somewhere in the, this is not a hard number, but somewhere in the neighborhood of 75% of the variance requests that have come through since I came into the ZBA at the beginning of last year are height-based. They tend to be in the corridor going to 17M Dolson, way, or at least in the industrial parts, certainly. So it's kind of, and they're being approved. They have all been approved. Sent back to the
I
planning board
just
and incorporated.
I remember when Orange and Rockland built the power distribution plant. And they were gonna put it on another lot, and it was gonna be closer to and all hell broke loose because
Yeah.
of the size of it compared to where these homes are on the road adjacent to it. So
It certainly can, and I'll just say this, and over the course of years of the town code being amended,
right.
you have those, you pull something out, like, it's almost like Jenga, you gotta be careful with it, and it may not be perfect, and
Right.
over time, the setback change might have to take place
Right.
if stuff pops up like that, but right now, assessing where these issues are arising, it doesn't appear like we would have anything like that. You look at that corridor where they keep popping up, they are not in
Well, there's no
infringing upon
They're not backed
residential.
up to any residential.
Right, yeah, I mean, there certainly could be an outlier, so
I mean, I'm just using the example.
Well, it's a
because
Lego-
one
Lego,
example
I mean,
that happened.
At the end of the
Well, I
day,
think-
Legoland's got 100 feet
Oh, no.
max
I
cap.
think
and-
I think that what we have here is a situation where we never adopted, we didn't have much commercial over the years. Now we're starting to be
Yeah.
an area where we're getting more and more industry, and the call for height in the industrial zone is between 60 and 80 feet in order to get these warehouses in the size they need, in order to get tractor trailers in.
Yeah, they don't have enough land to go out,
And-
you know,
correct.
and going out doesn't seem to benefit, anyway, it seems to be going with the trend. I looked around at other similar situated jurisdictions, and that seems to be a appropriate number.
I mean, I have no problem with 65 feet. I'm just saying, we did have one example where, and that was many years ago when they built that new power distribution.
You're absolutely, it just,
Yeah.
we couldn't, it seemed easier to just singularly focus on the height right now than trying to assess how far potentially move the setbacks. So that was why the recommendation went that way.
The village just adopted, well, just approved, had in mind to go, it's almost 80 feet.
It is.
Yeah, right at the end.
Which is on, as you know,
Well,
where it
there's no
is.
problem where it's built, if it, from what I could see that.
Yeah,
Right.
Well, that's where that corridor that we're talking about.
But we had so much, I mean, it's somewhere in the neighborhood of, I think it's not 9 applications, but 9 approvals of height changes in a year and a half.
Okay.
That's pretty significant.
Well, zoning,
And there's one,
zoning
and there's,
requests that have been
But
approved.
you know what? These are all requests, and I can't figure out why 75% would show a hardship or whatever, would come in and be approved by the zoning board of appeals. That one just blows my mind, because
Well-
it's not part of our code. And if 75% of the buildings are coming in and saying, I know what your code is, I want to build in Goshen, but I want to double the size, that's
Well-
not a reason to do it. I mean, you set a code because of the aesthetics and the
Yeah.
whole thing in the town. I'm
Yeah,
not,
understood.
I'm not-
You're
you know what I'm
absolutely
saying.
right.
Yeah, no, I got you.
Yeah, so,
I
I
got you.
mean,
It's-
I'm not fighting this thing, so,
Yeah,
but
I
I'm
think
a little
you're- I
concerned
think-
about that one.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think maybe, you know, the zoning board should look at it. I don't know, I didn't go to every zoning board meeting and why it was
Well-
approved. I know that, I know Rory, you were there, but I think that in order for us to gather the business that are going into the industrial area, we're gonna have to be able to come up to the height requirement that other towns are.
I'm not fighting that
Yeah.
one. I'm just, you know,
That's a no-brainer.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
when you,
I'm not,
you know.
And I think as far as, I see your point, Doug, and I agree. I mean, you know, as far as any subdivisions bordering up to it, I know there's a buffer zone, and I know that at least one of them right now, the planning board is requiring some high trees to back up against all.
yeah, or they are down, right?
They're
You know,
down,
like
correct.
RDM is kind of, they've either put berms in, or they are actually starting below ground.
No, no, I
and so that, you know,
understand, right.
but,
yeah, and those are legitimate zoning board of appeals exceptions.
and I,
Yeah.
Phil, without
Yeah.
going through each
And
one,
I know
think.
the ones you're talking about.
Yeah, I don't think there's any, well, anyway.
Yeah, now the other thing you mentioned setbacks and stuff like that.
We're not
Unless
changing
the code is altered, then they can stick to the code because we now have new height regulation. But if the setback is 50 feet, then
So
the
that's our
setback's
change.
50 feet, that's not going to negate, I just want everybody to
Yeah.
understand.
We're
that
not
when-
changing the setback. The setbacks are staying the same.
So what's happening is, when someone says, well, if they're that high, we want to make sure there's a bigger buffer. That's not the case.
That's not the
Unless-
case as of now, and
Right.
it was, you know, and
Unless
I
we
think that was
change the
Doug's
zoning.
point, it was, you start, you pull
Well,
one
you
thing
look
out,
at-
you know, you move,
You look at like everything that's going along 17M there, all of the development there, they are 400 feet off the road. The
Yeah, without question.
RDM location is 400
They
feet
have
off
to
that
be,
road.
because the type of industry that's coming in to do that height needs to be set back for their own purposes, the DOT, you know, a lot of them are using trucks, they can't be right off the
But if
roadway.
they want to build on the line, they can.
I don't disagree.
Yeah.
I
Believe
think
me.
it's Doug's point, your point, and it is this isn't perfect. I don't think you're ever gonna get it perfect without, you know, someone coming in and planning your whole
Well,
community
plus
out
everybody-
ahead of
Yeah.
time, you know?
Because every parcel is different. You may not, I mean, the lot width may not be in an area where you can get 200-foot setback
Yeah, I mean, that's,
and still get the building in.
Yeah, and that's where they go for the zoning change.
Yeah.
yep.
Okay, all right,
So-
just making everybody aware of what's going
Yep,
on,
I agree.
that's all.
The 65 is just for the industrial zone?
No,
No,
all three zones.
All zones.
Industrial.
no, not all three zones. HC,
All
C.
three commercial zones, HC,
The
industrial.
commercial
and
zone.
Yeah.
Right.
Doesn't,
Not-
so,
not
so in the
residential.
town code, there's a baseline definition, like the same way a speed limit. The speed limit unless otherwise posted in Goshen is X, right? This, the height, unless otherwise
Posted is 35
posted
feet.
is 35.
Right.
Residential, agriculture, with the exception of silos maybe, you know, there's always these things that have exceptions, but those three districts or
So
all
it's
the
not
commercials.
townwide, just the three,
The commercial district.
commercial,
Yeah.
highway commercial, and industrial.
Mhm.
Okay.
Which tend to be in, you know, areas, I mean, eventually they're gonna abut a residential like
It's,
Douglas talked.
45 now, proposal to go to 65.
It's 45, 35, 45.
Yeah, in the commercial, it was 35. It was 45 in the highway commercial, 35 commercial, 45
And we don't-
industrial,
I
all
don't
across the
even-
board going 65.
Don't even know why it's 35 in the commercial,
Yeah, it seems,
and the highway commercial's 45.
seems a little
Should be
antiquated, but
opposite
I don't
way around.
know. Anyway, that's,
Right.
So tonight is just to get the consensus of whether or not this board wants to go that route. We don't actually have the.
correct,
proposal.
because
That's-
you guys now are on the, have qualified
We're
on
gonna
the
go
notice
public hearing,
provision
yeah.
for the next meeting to
Public
vote for an
hearing.
Yeah.
introductory
Right.
local
Yeah.
law.
Okay.
Then it goes to the planning board, et cetera, comes
Yeah.
back,
Gotcha.
public hearing,
And then we vote on
then you vote on it, yeah. So no commitment tonight other than to, you guys have been informed, there's discussion and.
it. Okay.
That was a good discussion.
So,
We had-
Yeah,
that being said, do we want to set up a public hearing?
no, we're going, it's going to the next meeting,
Yeah,
because there's a notice requirement for the board to have the introductory local law in front of them prior to
Taking any action.
taking any
So,
action.
next meeting, we just come back up with the same exact discussion and then approve the public
It's,
hearing?
yeah, it's before the group now, and now there's some time to ponder it, and.
right, yeah.
I'm confused, but that's all
But
right.
that's the guidance, it's the procedure that,
Well, isn't it, in order to set a public hearing, the council has to have it 7 days?
Yeah.
that's what,
prior?
and that's,
That's what we're saying.
That's why the delay.
yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
Oh, Joe.
There was some tweaking that went on that delayed it to get to this board.
All right, so then we're just gonna put it on the agenda, the same exact thing on the agenda for the next meeting.
For a vote to go to a public
We're
hearing.
going to go to a public hearing.
Yeah.
Schedule a public
And
hearing.
any additional discussion that may come up over the next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Are you writing it up or Kelly?
It should be in your packet.
Yeah.
In your packet.
Resolution's here.
Yeah, it wasn't in your Wednesday.
I put it on the podium for you when you
Oh,
got down.
I didn't.
It's a pretty, George, it's pretty straightforward. I mean, it's
No, no,
exactly,
I have time to read it.
yeah. So that way you guys can,
I might have missed you, George, I'm sorry, I just picked up early.
All right, well, again, a little confusing, but. Okay, moving on. All right, next on the agenda is just a discussion as to where we are with the watershed 50 district. So there are, I think everybody's got the map in your package.
Yep.
So we have three things in process right now. One is the proposition to acquire the 2 lots from Amy's Kitchen, the whip-off well lots. We have somewhat agreement in place already
yep,
to purchase them at the original purchase price that they paid in 2014, I guess it was, which was $90,000 a lot. We also have permission from Amy's Kitchen to do the testing on those 3 wells. Pam is gonna do the testing for us on the wells. They're also gonna do a part 5, is that what it is, Rick? Part 5? Yeah. They're gonna do a part 5 study, George, to make sure that there's nothing in the wells, as your suggestion. That was supposed to happen on Monday, but unfortunately, the once in a 1,000-year storm came.
Yeah.
So let's put that off a couple of weeks.
Good.
Hopefully he'll be able to get to it in another 2 or 3 weeks.
Okay.
The other item that we have that we're negotiating right now, we have somewhat approval from Amy's Kitchen to go ahead and negotiate with the city of Middletown and the county to take over the water and sewer lines that Amy's Kitchen put in. Originally had a meeting set tomorrow with the mayor DeStefano and County Exec Newhouse. Unfortunately, again, put off because of the storm.
Okay.
But that's in place. And then the last thing we have, and Rory, this is the resolution for it?
Yeah, pretty,
So we have a resolution in place that we spoke about and agreed at the last meeting that giving me the ability to speak to and negotiate on behalf of the town to develop an agreement with Mid-Hudson Psychiatric Center to potentially take over the wastewater treatment facility plant from Mid-Hudson Psychiatric Center. There's no obligation on our part, to go through with it. This is just an authorization and a resolution that is required by the state of New York to identify the fact that I, the supervisor, has brought it to the town board, and the town board is aware of the fact that I'm starting negotiations with the state of New York to potentially acquire their wastewater treatment facility plant. Those are the 3 items that we have, which would all put together would form that water sewer district out in Watershed 50, the problem district that we have based on the storm Shorter Palmer report from 2000 and,
Joe,
yes, sir.
I'm reluctant to even talk about this, but I was the environmental and safety manager for the Wilmington, North Carolina DuPont chemical plant. 2,500 acres. It made 5 million pounds of product a day. And when they were drawing water from those wells, from that landfill, with heavy metals, and we know what stuff is in there. If you keep drawing and drawing and drawing, you're gonna give them to the well. So you can check the well today. 3 years hence, and it's hooked up to Milmar and start putting lead and stuff in it, this and that. This thing is just fraught with problems, and I think we need to involve the Department of Health and the New York State Department of Health, rather than just engineers. I mean, I'm just.
Doug, without a doubt, that the Board of Health of Orange County would be actively involved in this, and
Yeah.
so would the state of New York.
Okay.
Right now, all we're doing is determining whether, as of today, there's
Right.
anything in that water. If there's something in that water, obviously, all bets are off. We're
Well,
done.
what I'm sharing with you as an
Yes, I
environmental
got you. As
scientist.
you use the water, you're going, and new water comes through,
Yeah.
but that's where you're gonna have a treatment plant there. You're gonna have a green sand treatment plant there to take care of all this.
You're not gonna take lead out, and you're not gonna take heavy metals in a treatment plant. This really needs to have some professional people. You know, I heard the news this past week, in the United States, CFOAs and CFOSs, we're all getting exposed to these things, and it's everywhere.
But that comes out in treatment. 99.9% of
I'm
PFOA
just
and
saying that they're-
PFOS comes out in a carbon filtration system.
But what they're saying, it's in your private wells, it's everywhere, is what I'm sharing. with you.
Well, that's
So-
why we wanna curtail that and create a district that we're supporting it and taking care of it.
Well, okay, I'm just saying that, you know, it's a very frightening thing.
My
And-
friend, you right now are 40 years from now. Right now, we're just initially talking about the
But it
establishment of potential establishment. That's it.
It needs to be done very carefully, so
Of
that
course.
because if you wanna put, somebody out of business, just have heavy metals
Sure.
and things like this get into food stuff.
Absolutely.
You know,
But
So what are we asking you to do?
regardless of that, we're allowing building in that district, and they're putting wells in the same ground that we're talking about.
Right.
Right now, every single one of those industrial and commercial developments are getting a well and a septic system.
Okay.
So we're approving those wells based on the state of New York and
But
based
the
on the
reason-
Orange County Board of Health approving them.
The other part of this history is Amy's Kitchen, when they came in and they had these wells, they're experts in the health of the products they're selling to people. They decided not to do it, they spent $10 million to go to the city of Middletown, rather than even think about using those wells for
Right.
foodstuffs.
No doubt.
And for the reasons I've just kind of mentioned. So, I don't know, so I keep thinking of Milmar as much as anybody, because they're gonna be hooked onto this thing.
Doug, I assure you that 100% this will be rated by the Orange County Board of Health and New York State Board of Health for sure, guaranteed.
Okay,
They wouldn't allow you to turn it up if we even decide to ever get there.
right.
Right now, we're proposing something, we know we have a problem in watershed 50. It was identified, whether we did what Shorter Palmer said we should do or didn't do.
The other question
We
I
have a
have is,
problem.
when Shorter Palmer looked at it and said you could build one house for every 25 acres. Okay. What is the capacity of these wells, I wonder, relative, you start cranking them up and.
The 2 wells on the Lip-Off property,
Yeah,
last time they were tested, did 100 gallons a minute.
Yeah, they have, they high capacity.
Yeah.
But the other thing that you mentioned, and I understand that they're doing wells, they're doing individual wells for individual properties, but that's the responsibility of that property owner. If those wells start producing toxic stuff,
Of course.
then they're out. In this particular case, if we take these wells, then it's gonna be the town of Goshen's responsibility, and all the taxpayers will suffer on that. So there is a difference.
Of course.
Not bad or good, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
We-
But that's why you have, the backup is gonna be, the primary is gonna be the city of Middletown, 350,000 gallons a day.
That one just blows my mind.
No,
I'm still
Times have
waiting.
changed,
I'm
Phil.
still waiting, yeah.
They're gonna sell that
Okay.
rather than using that as a selling point for the, if they sell the property. to
They're not
another
selling, they
company.
said they're not selling the property, so.
Okay, I mean, to me, I find that amazing, because that was a big thing to get the permission to do all that, and went all through the,
Well, regardless of whether they build or sell the property,
Yeah.
we're guaranteeing them the water in the district. There's no difference.
well, I mean, what I'm saying is selling it to the town so we can use it for other things, et cetera, et cetera. I guess that's it.
Listen, at the end of the day, they've taken so long, and the city of Middletown has allocated this allotment to them and not being used or built.
Right.
At some point in time, the city of Middletown, I'm sure, was gonna say, guys, sorry, you don't have it anymore, it's gone.
Right.
So now you got a $10 million pipe
Yeah.
with nothing in it.
Yeah.
This is an opportunity for Middletown to start building, an opportunity for us to take on customers, and an opportunity for us to grow that development in that district. That's it.
I'm all for that, if somebody comes in and needs the water that we've got
With
it there.
the right backing of the right Board of Health, absolutely.
Okay,
All we're doing right now is talking,
Okay,
and I'm making you aware of what I'm talking about.
yeah,
okay,
That's
That's
it, nothing else.
that's good.
okay.
George, any questions?
Well, I mean, I brought this up last time, I think, Rory, you were going to investigate it further. Very afraid of high-density housing. And I know this is the industrial zone and commercial zone and so on and so forth, but I think part of the discussion last time was whether or not we can only hook up commercial entities to this, or if somebody comes out of the blue and says, oh, I want to build, apartments, high-density housing here, can we basically say, hey, no, this is for commercial use only?
Well, it's for this particular zone. You can't build high density in the industrial zone. You can't build it in the commercial zone.
Well,
It was a kind of a general question, and I think Rory had some concerns about that, about whether or not you could limit it just to commercial. Now, maybe I'm wrong, but
Well-
that's kind of the flavor I got.
I'm gonna take the easy way out on this one. It's not on the table right now. The resolution is to allow you to have.
Just negotiate, exactly.
There
But
are,
I share
I'll
your-
take,
Yeah.
I will, but I'll take,
We-
I'm sorry, I'll just, because I'm not really gonna fully punt on it. Until I know where the water district fully
It's
is
established.
established, I can't really answer that question.
So George, the
I can say
district
that
that
you,
we,
it's,
the district that we lined up here that Pete and Garrow has put together for us is strictly 100% in that zone. There are no residential parcels in that zone. This is all industrial.
The zone is what? This,
The black square right around here.
all around here.
Yep, so this is all, pretty much all commercial, industrial.
And
now,
this
if
is
Amy's
all
said they're
town
gonna come in,
Goshen.
is that why they're willing to sell it to us?
No, Amy's understands that they're in a really bad predicament right now. And the predicament is they have potential to lose the allocation from the city of Middletown if they don't start sending water.
Okay.
That's part of the problem. Are they not coming here? They're absolutely coming here. According to them, 2018, this plant will be open. 2028, I'm sorry.
48. Huh. Okay.
But they also, as I said, they also realize that there's a potential to lose the allocation. If they lose the allocation, they got a $10 million pipe, that's it.
They did put in that deed, though, there'll be no houses for protection of,
What deed?
or the agreement with the city of Middletown.
There'd be no residents.
There are no residents, and other towns, for example, Greenville wants on the water, and other towns.
Oh, absolutely.
And
That
that
is
was
my
in
feeling.
there intentionally to protect it for the town of Goshen and their business.
City of Middletown authorizes Amy's water supply, Amy's is an outside user to connect the city, utilize the city's water supply, subject to terms and conditions, agreement to purchase and sell.
Because Greenville wanted water and Amy said no, for that reason. And they could back it up with what was in their agreement.
Well, Greenville is part of the watershed for the Middletown Reservoir.
Excuse me, I don't
They were,
know, I don't even
they were the
know.
ones
They
that were
wanted it for a
lodging the
local
biggest
park.
complaint, right?
But they wanted it for a local park. It was-
They want it for the park right along
Yeah,
the.
their
Way along the
their
trail.
reservoirs go way out.
Yeah.
Way beyond there.
Yeah, and
Way out there.
they were the ones that started walking at Amy's. We almost lost that.
I don't see the notice,
Okay.
it's not in there. that-
Well, let's allow you to move on and discuss it anyway.
This is
Let's
just-
just move
yeah,
on,
I-
yeah.
Right, we're just.
Again,
moving around
maybe try to-
that's all.
Yeah,
Narrow the issue here, it's just that resolution, but
yeah,
George, eventually, I'll answer that question.
Yeah.
good.
Okay, yeah.
Just keep asking it.
Yeah, no, the other,
Great question,
Give them a
George.
copy of the minutes all the time.
I'd be, George, come on, that was fair.
I know, but I'm saying, if there's one issue that's on everybody's mind, it's high density.
I don't know, that's not everybody's mind, but.
Oh, yeah, if you go down 17, you will be
Especially
on
in
your
Orange
mind.
County. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm trying to prevent that from happening
Absolutely.
in Goshen. That's what
We
we're
all
trying to
is.
do. But anyway, the other thing I had is the sewer, and I know it's just preliminary talk, but
Yeah.
is the psychiatric center still gonna be hooked up to this if we inherited that or we took it
So,
on?
so the psychiatric, so here, this is what the true benefit and what Middletown sees as part of the true benefit. Because New York State is gonna be spending upwards of $26 million to build a new line along 17M all the way to Middletown, disrupting all that. And we have meetings on a monthly basis with DOT in the towns.
Oh,
Yeah.
good. I'm glad to hear
So
that.
the opportunity here, I see, is to negotiate this deal with Mid-Hudson Psychiatric Center, along with the fact that we can say, we can save you $26 million. Just run a pipe over to us over by Amy's Kitchen, you're up and running tomorrow. And then we can refurbish the wastewater treatment facility plant. Stop all that traffic issue along 17M. And they're, because they're going to the same place.
Yeah, but I'm not sure, number one, how big it is and how much of a problem it might be at this particular point. You know, if
They're I think they said they're doing 60,000 gallons a day of sewer. That sewer line is 300,000, as is, could double to 600,000 with some treatment tanks. So plenty of
Right,
room.
but there's plenty of room, is the sewer, and that's something you'll have to talk to them about, and what kind of shape it's in, and if it's,
Oh,
and
we've.
what Speedy's permit is, and what
Yeah,
we're
no,
allowed to
exactly.
use. You know,
That's all part of
those.
it.
Yeah,
All part of it,
Okay.
what the cost is to
Just wanna-
take it, expand on it, and increase the capacity, yes. All part of the discussion.
Let's go, let's move this.
Discussion, that's all it is, I promise you.
Good, yeah. Oh. We got a couple of votes here, you know.
I know you
You're gonna
do.
need at least three.
Joe,
I promise you.
Joe, one other question, I'm looking at this map, and it says lip off well site.
Yep.
There's that arrow.
Mm.
But there's well 1, 2, another well 2, and another
Well three.
well 3.
Two separate parcels.
Is that all lip off wells?
They're all lip
Yes.
off wells.
Oh, they're
Yeah.
all lip off wells,
Yep.
okay. I thought lip off-
So you have, what you
arrows.
do has, you have some test wells there that aren't really wells. They're well sites, but they're the original test wells, they don't go down too far. The two lip-off wells, actually, they say lip-off well site, and that's the wells 1 and 2. They're producing about between 500 and 1,000 gallon, I'm sorry, between 50 and 100 gallons a minute.
No, they have a high capacity.
Oh, no,
They always have
they're
been.
good. Yeah.
Well, they're right
Okay.
along the Walk Hill, so, yeah.
Right.
So that's where we are, yep. just keeping you abreast of everything that's going on. So do I have to read this resolution? Marie?
No,
No.
just read the title of it.
The
and
motion?
Well, ask for the motion, which is the
Yeah.
title of the resolution, essentially.
Title of the resolution is,
Authorizing.
Authorizing the town supervisor to engage in communication with Mid-Hudson Psychiatric Center in an effort to negotiate a deal to take over the wastewater treatment facility. I make that motion.
second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
I make a motion that Phil read all the resolutions.
Why you say
This
that?
this is a roll call vote.
The
Roll call vote.
That was gonna be my next comment. Oh, by the way, this is a resolution. We need a
Roll call.
I think
Aye.
it's a
Bill?
roll call.
It's
George?
the fourth resolution of the day, you think?
Aye. Joe,
Yeah.
aye.
Aye.
Doug?
This one, oh yeah, this.
Well, what'd you guys have for dinner tonight?
I haven't eaten
I
yet.
haven't eaten yet either.
That's why. That's
That's the problem.
Okay.
Good.
Discuss and approve the town board meetings for June 22nd, 2023.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we need to set a public hearing for the
Aye.
Maplewood Drainage District and Water Sewer Extension that was scheduled for July 27th. Will be rescheduled for August 10th at 7 PM due to the publication issues.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Finance, discuss and approve a motion to authorize the supervisor to pay accounts payable check run for July 13th, 2023 in the amount of $402,944.40. Got a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Just some information, our budget officer Christine Cavallari performed the accounts payable review for 7/13/2023. It's attached. Anybody have any questions on it?
But I have another item that I think we need to talk about.
Sure.
And that's the Goshen Humane Society.
Yes.
It's over Facebook, I've got phone calls, public, they're leaving town, and, they have some
Yeah.
501c money, but, how's that gonna, I mean, what we need to do is create, I think, create a board of directors, a new board of directors.
Yeah.
And I'd like to work with Phil if he's willing to do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So,
And and then go, put somebody in the paper saying, hey, we're looking for people who'd like to work on the board of directors, and then we set it up, and we shouldn't let it shut down and then try to bring it back, I don't think.
so let me first say, that's great. I hope you guys can put it together. That's not something the town board can, this is individually Doug and Phil, because a 501c3, we're already a nonprofit. A 501c3 can't control another 501c3.
Well, I'm just, from a legal perspective, I guess, the question that came to mind, I got a call tonight before the meeting. Hey, can they give that money to Warwick, or can they give that money to Middletown? Like,
Well, who's
the hell
501?
out of me, we need to have.
It is their
It's
501c3.
a humane society, right?
So-
How much is in it?
A lot of money.
So they have money to operate, do they have
So-
money to operate it?
Someone left their inheritance.
Right.
Okay,
I don't know.
Before we, so as of the 2021 filing, there was $300,000 in it. That was
Okay.
2021, that was a long time ago.
Right.
The new filing hasn't been done yet. I have a meeting next week with Sue to try to go over
Okay,
all of this.
good.
The question is, it's not a question of whether we can decide where that money goes. They own the
No,
501c3.
no,
If they
right.
if they want to deed all of that money to the Warwick shelter, that is well within their rights to do. They run the 501c3.
That's fine, we should, as long as they tell us, that would be a good, so we
Well,
know
anyway, those are the
that
questions
the
that
animals are
I'm
being
getting on the
taken care of.
telephone
All we
today.
care about is the animals being taken care of.
So
Yeah.
what, I think we have a plan, I think we have a somewhat plan in place. I'm not one that likes to respond to people on Facebook. I have been talking to the Indy and speaking to Wendy. I told her I would give her a full report
Oh,
this
good.
week for the paper, but
Great.
what we're doing right now is we have a meeting set up to sit down with Sue Bosling, speak to her about where we are, what we're doing. We've interviewed 3 DCOs. We believe
Right.
we have one that we think best suits the town.
Well, I think that Phil and I need to sit down with you and tell us where you're at, and then we'll kind of
That's what
run
I'm
with it.
trying to do now.
That's good, Joe.
So
That's
that's
fine.
what, so
Okay,
we've
so you
interviewed
have
3
to handle
DCOs.
Yeah.
You're meeting with the village on Thursday.
Meeting with the village mayor
Great.
on Thursday to try to determine what their support's gonna be. The overall goal is to make sure that we can do something for Goshen. I agree with you.
Yeah.
But I want everybody to be clear, even the members of the public to be clear. We could not run that 501c3 as a town board. We cannot do that. It has to be a separate and distinct entity, has to have its own board of directors.
That's what we
Correct.
need to do, we
Yeah,
need to
exactly.
set up a board of directors.
Well, you know what, good, very good, Joe. Once
I'll
we
give you
find
a
out
report-
all
I'll give you
the,
a report of everything, I'll talk to
yeah, and then we
Sue,
can
you know.
talk about setting up a commission or whatever we feel like doing with the village, whatever.
Yeah.
But, right, that's wonderful.
We do,
Wonderful.
we definitely own the building and everything, pretty
Yeah.
much everything that's fastened to the floor, we own
Yeah.
in that building.
Right.
Well, anyway,
That's perfect.
it's on Facebook all over the place. It's
I don't
being
know, I don't
talked
go into
about.
Facebook, so
I don't go on it.
I don't know.
There's
Neither
a
do
lot
I.
of- lot of
Well, the
controversy.
people who
Is
called
it?
me said it's
Oh,
on
really?
Facebook.
There must be 50 comments.
No kidding.
Yes, it's
Well,
a big deal
And
out
all,
there.
you know,
Yeah.
What's
basically,
going on?
it's really, you know.
A lot of it
Town is
is just supposition on
Oh,
people's
really?
part if they don't know what's going on. So I understand where they're coming from, there's frustration, nobody's talking to them, we can't talk to them because it's not our responsibility to talk to them about the Bosleys and what the Bosleys have and are doing. They've run a successful humane society, they've supported this town
Yep.
for many, many, many years. I take
Sure
my
did.
hat off to them, the dedication that they've had and done, it's unbelievable. on their part.
Absolutely.
And they're
I
retired,
agree.
God bless them, they're moving someplace that I wish I was moving to, but, you know,
Yeah.
we're not, so let's figure out
Not
what we
going
need to
anywhere,
do.
Joe.
Absolutely.
But we have to have a dog catcher.
Oh, that's.
We've
by
interviewed
law.
3 dog catchers.
Animal control officer.
Animal control.
Okay. That's a better term.
We're
That's what we
meeting
need, is not, there is no dog catcher.
Tuesday, we're set up to meet
It's an
with Sue
animal
Bosley
control
or Sue Barron.
Tuesday.
Sue
Can't
Barron's
remember
first.
which one. Yeah.
So I'm meeting with Sue Barron, who runs the Warwick Shelter, to talk about an arrangement for our DCO or ACO, should we decide to go that way,
Yeah.
having the ability to deliver animals to them at a cost to the town. And then, if we want to go further than that and actually creating a humane society, then we need to, all the people that are commenting on Facebook, if you're out there,
Yeah,
that's
you
who
know
we
what, that's a
need.
great
Come in
idea.
here and
Absolutely.
Volunteer.
Absolutely.
put your money where your mouth is. Come in here and
Absolutely.
support.
Did you come this evening to
Perfect.
talk about it? Can we let hear what she had to say?
When I open up the floor,
Okay.
yep,
Yeah,
Good. Okay.
we're good?
yeah.
I had one other thing.
Sure.
That was, I think Neil came last meeting, he wrote us an email tonight, I believe, and I don't know whether we can make a decision, probably can't make a decision now,
No.
about the alternates, and whether they can speak.
Rory's working on a resolution on that.
So that's in the works to be resolved.
Yeah, there's a
Okay.
couple things I needed to work through before it
Okay.
comes
Okay.
back.
It'll be resolved at the next
It'll-
meeting.
Yeah, it'll be,
Great.
All right,
sorry, I didn't,
No,
you
I
didn't put it
wasn't
on the
trained, but-
agenda, because,
That's fine.
all right.
motion to close the town board
No.
meeting.
No,
no,
Oh, I'm sorry,
Public comment.
Privilege of the floor, yeah.
privilege of the floor, I apologize. Anybody like to speak?
No, I was just here to find out more about the intentions about the Goshen Humane Society. So it's a learning curve, because I didn't even realize they were closing.
Yeah, it came on all of us quite quickly. I mean, we knew that they were retiring, like, Mary, 2 years ago, but they really never had a definitive date as to when they were retiring, which, that's their prerogative. Now they've got the definitive date, I understand that, it's August 15th,
Yeah.
so we have a very short window to try to determine how and what we're gonna do between now and August 15th. I would imagine that the easier task for us is to hire a DCO and at least have an agreement with a DCO, so that if we have any strays in Goshen or any dogs or cats, that we have the ability to take that and bring them to the Warwick shelter or whatever shelter we structure an agreement with.
It's just a shame the building's there, though, and it's been
Building's there.
renovated recently, and, I haven't been in a while because of COVID restrictions, but,
But someone I got a call said they had 4 kittens, and Warwick said, no, you can't bring them here. And then they said, well, it's gonna cost you $125. And so I don't know where it is, but the public, we need some, my own feeling is we need it here. Because this same person called Middletown, they said, we won't take them either. So it is what it is, and the animal lovers are really there. And so we're gonna have to
we have a tremendous growing issue of cat issue in the town of Goshen.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
There-
sure.
As part of the overall resolution, you know, I think we need to work with, is it Tara out of No Town, Mary?
Tara.
Sorry.
We have an
Tara.
agreement.
Great
So, you know,
organization.
and talking to Trish Sherlock over at Park and Rec, she, you know, establish a program where we can catch, neuter, and release, and try to curtail this onslaught of feral cats that we have all over the place. Yeah. So I think this is an entire big plan. It's gonna take a lot of time to formulate, over time to put into place, but I think we have some starting points
Good.
that we're working
Yes.
on right now.
Excellent.
Well, and I think for the
Yeah.
public to remember too, is that we've always had a board of directors for the Humane Society. And then Boz is very strong when they were doing everything, and all of a sudden these board of directors kind of went by the wayside, and there's no board anymore. And now all of a sudden they're leaving, and it's a big void, and people are kind of fearful that they're looking to us, whether we want it or not, to create something. And that's where I think if Phil and I can work on
So
that.
let's find out where we are.
absolutely.
What we're gonna do for it.
I think I think we could say today that we're not gonna leave Goshen in the lurch. We're gonna
Right.
figure a plan out.
Yeah,
Right.
well, that's good, I mean, that's, sure. Yep.
Any other comments from? Yes, sir.
I just wanted
Can I
to,
have your name?
Name,
yeah, John Thampy from Strack Road. So just wanted to open up a conversation about the possibility of using micromobility to tie essential services together. And it's really not just an issue of transportation. When we talk micromobility in the rural area, specifically referring to the possibility of using e-bikes to tie and build community across the board. So of course, it always comes down to, is it a pie in the sky idea? It's not. It's funded by NYSERDA, and it was funded recently across, next to Hastings and Hudson. They received close to $7 million, and the towns worked together collaboratively with the government, forming a consortium to get the funding. This allows the opportunity for the community to come together, and again, once again, ties essential services that are not currently only accessible through vehicles and methods that are not ideal. If we want to improve the pollution rate, if we want to tie the community back together, if we want to give them access to, again, essential services, and bring a different outlook and a venue for the town. Currently, the town's rating as a bike rating, even though it has bike pathways, is not as high as it could be. If you could wave a magic wand and open up the opportunity for economic revitalization and open it up to the town and say, well, this Goshen's the place to go, having micro-mobility options would be the way to forward, funded, of course, by the government. The first step I would argue is to learn the lessons from across from Hastings and Hudson and see how their program is being effective, borrow those ideas, and then make the pitch next year to get the summer program.
What's that?
No, I didn't know if you wanted.
So we are working very closely with NYSERDA right now. We are in the process of establishing a relationship in order to convert our code to a green code. So we are familiar with, at least I'm familiar with the e-bike situation and the money that NYSERDA is providing. It's something that's on our plate to look at. Right now, we're just trying to get through and become a community, what is the exact verbiage? Community smart community, and establishing, get these codes all worked out for us. But it's definitely something we're looking at, so I thank you for bringing it up, and, you know, it's something ongoing that I agree with, you know. We need to establish we have the bike route,
Right.
so now it's establishing and getting, you know, you're gonna see EV charging stations starting to pop up all over the village of Goshen, based on, you know, our relationship with NYSERDA and what we're trying to do. So, we're getting there. We're not last to the dance, but we're, you know, we're getting there. We're dancing right now. Bill, anything?
Nothing.
Nothing else? All right.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.